We're going back to the moon, this time in NASA's Artemis mission. The main goal is to go to Mars, but everything they must do on Mars, they should start here first. The distance of Mars from Earth is about 140 million miles, while the distance of Moon from 40,000 miles. The most important and fragile element of the mission are the Artemis astronauts, or the crew. They are safely enclosed in the Orion spacecraft. The Orion spacecraft consists of 3 modules. The crew module, where the astronauts will work and live throughout the journey. The service module, which has life support systems for the crew and its own engine and fuel reserves. And the launch abort system, which can abort the launch if anything goes wrong and bring the crew back to Earth.
To achieve the task of launching the crew out of the Earth in heavy payloads, NASA is building the Space Launch System, or SLS, which comprises of cargo hold, an exploration upper stage, a massive core stage, and 2 solid rocket boosters, and when it's all together, it's the world's most powerful rocket. It's better than the Saturn V of the Apollo missions in many ways.
The entire rocket, when fully fueled, weighs just about 6 million pounds. 5.2 million pounds of which is just the fuel.
The SLS will be launched from Kennedy Space Center and will be transported there with the max speed of 1 mile per hour. After being ready for launch, there's no stopping back. Unless something goes wrong and the crew has to abort the mission. The SLS, or the Space Launch System, will be the most powerful rocket ever developed, and it will have no problems escaping or leaving the Earth's gravity.
2 minutes after the launch, the solid rocket boosters are expelled and released, and the launch abort system is also removed. And 8 minutes after the launch, the core stage is depleted.
The Orion spacecraft is set on a course for the Moon, which will intersect the Moon's orbit days later. After reaching the lower Earth's orbit, the crew waits for confirmation from the mission control. After the crew gets a clear blast from the mission control, the crew reignites the engine and sets on a course that will intersect the Moon's orbit in some days.
The speed of the Orion spacecraft at this moment is more than the speed of a bullet fired from a high-powered rifle.
The solar panels of the Orion spacecraft are being deployed. The Orion spacecraft no longer needs the battery power. It can now generate its own power.
This is the desired trajectory of the Orion spacecraft, which should be followed in order to reach the Moon's surface. The Artemis mission uses a different approach than the Apollo missions by NASA. Instead of taking all the required things on the spacecraft, NASA is using a different approach termed as pre-staging by NASA, in which all the components required will be pre-positioned by NASA's commercial and international partners on the lunar surface. For example, rovers, science experiments, and human-ready systems. Pre-staging also includes a dedicated lunar station around the Moon in orbit called the Gateway. At the station, or simply the Gateway, they will pre-stage a robust lunar lander which will give them a very strong communication strength to the spacecraft. The Gateway can be expanded for future missions conducted by NASA, which will allow multiple human missions on the Moon at the same time. The Gateway can also adjust its orbit to allow access to every part of the Moon which is lacking or maybe missing in the Apollo missions. The Orion spacecraft will dock into the Gateway, and some pre-selected crew members will be transferred into the lunar lander, while some will remain stationed at the Gateway for managing the systems. The lunar lander itself is made up for 3 unique steps. 1. Descending from the halo orbit to the low lunar orbit. 2. Descending from the low lunar orbit to the surface of the Moon. Tip over here. The lunar lander can land anywhere on the surface of the Moon, which was not possible in case of the Apollo missions. And lastly, 3. Taking the crew from the surface of the Moon back to the orbiting Gateway. After being transferred back into the Orion spacecraft from the Gateway, the crew fire the engines once to break out of the lunar orbit, and once again to swing the spacecraft around the Moon and placing it on a multi-day trajectory towards the Earth.
When the spacecraft is nearly at its end of the journey, the service module detaches from the crew module and the crew module heads towards the Earth. On entering the Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, the friction of air slows down the Orion spacecraft considerably, while subjecting it to temperatures of up to 5,000 degrees. Orion, now only at the speed of 300 miles per hour, a series of parachutes which are heavily tested are deployed and reduce the speed of the Orion spacecraft to just 20 miles per hour during the splashdown into the Pacific Ocean. The crew module is then recovered from the Pacific Ocean and opened by a specially trained set of engineers. And yay, the mission is complete! Our astronaut crew has just come back to Earth from Moon. It's a proud moment for humanity. So coming to the end of this video, I hope that you like the video, and if you do like it, just please consider to subscribe as it will help our channel grow.